Everything around you is energy, and whether you realize it or not, you're the one directing the flow. Right now, your mind is juggling an avalanche of sensory input, the feeling of air on your skin, the faintest sounds in the distance, tiny shifts in temperature, all happening at once yet slipping beneath your awareness. Your brain filters out what it deems unnecessary, keeping you locked onto what it thinks matters most. But here's the twist. That same filtering is also holding you back. Think about the last time you struggled to pick up a new skill, maybe playing an instrument, mastering a tricky yoga pose, or speaking a foreign language. At first, everything felt unnatural, like moving through thick fog. Your hands didn't respond the way you wanted, your mind scrambled to keep up, and frustration crept in. But then, something shifted. One day, your fingers found the right notes effortlessly, your balance stabilized, or the words rolled off your tongue with ease. What changed? Your brain did. It rewired itself, forging fresh neural pathways and smoothing out the process until what once felt impossible became second nature. This is the secret behind energy mastery. Most people assume they need more energy to be productive, but the truth is, they just need to redirect what's already there. It's like sitting in a car with a full tank of gas, but leaving the emergency brake on. The power is available, you just aren't letting it move freely. So, how do you unlock that flow? By bridging the gap between what your conscious mind controls and what your subconscious mind is capable of. The moment you remove the mental roadblocks, you access abilities you didn't even know you had. This isn't just self-improvement talk, it's rooted in neuroscience and psychology. Your mind is designed to adapt, optimize, and evolve. Let's try something effortless. Close your eyes for a moment and just pay attention to your breath. Feel the air moving in and out. Some breaths are slow, others quick. Some are cool, others warm. Don't force anything. Just notice. If you stay with it long enough, something interesting happens. Your breath naturally finds its own rhythm without you needing to control it. That's your brain letting go of unnecessary effort. This applies to far more than just breathing. Every day, we operate under invisible mental rules we've absorbed over time without realizing it. But here's the thing, most of them can be rewritten. Think about a child learning to walk. They don't analyze every tiny movement or get stuck in their heads about doing it right. They stumble, adjust, and instinctively improve. The same goes for a cat twisting mid-air to land on its feet. It's not thinking step by step. It's moving with the moment, responding without resistance. Somewhere along the way, we lose this ability. We start overthinking everything. Instead of flowing with life, we tense up, second guess, and try to force things into place. We grip too hard, and in doing so, we block ourselves from reaching our full potential. Real power comes from spotting these hidden patterns and learning to move with them, not against them. It's the difference between fighting the ocean and learning to surf. The energy is already there, already moving. You just have to learn how to ride the wave. You're about to uncover how your brain constructs its version of reality, and more importantly, how you can fine-tune that perception. This isn't about seeing things that don't exist. It's about finally recognizing what's been there all along, hidden beneath layers of habit and assumption. The best part? The process is simple. No complicated methods, no years of training. Just clear, practical steps that start working from day one. Think of your mind as a camera. Right now it's on auto mode, passively deciding what to focus on based on old patterns. But what if you could switch to manual and take full control? That's what mastering perception is about. Learning to shift focus, adjust perspective, and open yourself up to choices you never realized you had. If this sounds abstract, consider this. Elite athletes use these techniques to sharpen their reflexes, musicians to heighten their precision, and top executives to make faster, clearer decisions. The power behind it isn't magic, it's science, leveraging how your brain naturally works in ways most people never even think about. Take a moment right now. Look around. Notice the colors, the shadows, the textures, and the subtle shifts of movement in your surroundings. Feel how your attention jumps from one thing to another, like a spotlight scanning a stage. That movement isn't random, it's a tool. And like any tool, it can be trained, refined, and redirected with intention. Big changes don't happen overnight. Just like you wouldn't expect to run a marathon without training, you can't expect to master mental control instantly. But with small, deliberate shifts, progress builds fast. The key is not to force it, but to remove the mental barriers that have been holding you back. In the next steps, we'll break down exactly how to do this, step by step, so you can start seeing through the illusions your brain creates and step into a new level of clarity, awareness, and control. The methods are simple. The results? Transformational. Everything you perceive is filtered through the lens of your beliefs and past experiences. If you're afraid of spiders, your eyes will instinctively pick up on the smallest movement in a dark corner. If you love classic cars, you'll notice every vintage model on the road, while others drive past without a second glance. Your brain is constantly creating shortcuts. Tuning in to what it has learned is important to you. But here's the catch. Those same shortcuts can also deceive you. Imagine holding a white object under a red light. It still looks white, doesn't it? That's because your brain isn't just showing you what's there. It's showing you what it expects to be there. It's filling in the gaps, adjusting reality like an internal Photoshop filter. This is happening all the time, shaping what you see, hear, and even think, without you even realizing it. But what if you could train your brain to notice more? Elite performers do this every day. A professional fighter can detect the subtlest shift in an opponent's stance, predicting their next move before it happens. A musician hears microtones the average ear would never pick up. A master poker player catches the faintest twitch, a tiny hesitation that signals a bluff. Chefs develop such a refined sense of taste that they can pinpoint the precise ingredient a dish is missing. Investigators become experts at decoding body language, hearing the hesitation in a voice that betrays a lie. Wall Street traders train their minds to spot market patterns that others overlook, turning milliseconds of insight into millions of dollars. Your brain works the same way. What you focus on, you empower. The more you train yourself to notice, the more the world reveals itself to you. Every skill, every ability, every breakthrough starts with paying attention in a new way. Think back to when you first learned to drive. In the beginning, everything demanded your full attention: the pedals, the steering, checking mirrors, watching other cars. It felt overwhelming, like juggling too many things at once. But over time, your brain figured it out. Now you can drive while sipping coffee, listening to music, and thinking about what to cook for dinner, all because your brain learned what to focus on and what to handle automatically. This same process applies to working with energy and awareness. At first, sensing subtle shifts might feel vague or even non-existent, but with practice, patterns start emerging. What once seemed invisible becomes clear and undeniable. Your brain adapts, rewires, and starts recognizing what it used to filter out. You can train yourself to become more aware, just like adjusting the brightness on a dim screen to reveal hidden details. Try this. Bring your attention to your hands. Don't move them, just feel them. Stay with the sensation for a moment. You might notice a tingling, a warmth, a pulsing. It's not that anything suddenly changed. Those sensations were always there. Your brain just wasn't tuned into them before. This is the nature of perception. Your mind filters out the majority of information around you, showing you only what it thinks is important. But what if you could expand that filter? What if you could choose to notice more? Think of it like learning a new language. At first, it's just a blur of unfamiliar sounds. Then, words start standing out. Eventually, full sentences make sense, and deeper meanings become clear. The language didn't change. Your brain did. The same is true for perception. The more you practice, the more patterns emerge. You aren't creating new sensations. You're unlocking ones that have been there all along. This also explains why different people experience the same things differently. Their brains have been trained to pick up on and interpret signals in their own unique way. There's no single correct perception, only different ways of processing reality. Understanding this gives you an advantage. Instead of fighting your brain's natural filters, you can work with them. By gradually expanding your awareness, you make learning easier, progress faster, and results more consistent. Everything you practice becomes part of how you experience the world. Each new technique, Each moment of focus helps your brain refine its perception. Over time, what once felt difficult becomes second nature. The key is not forcing change, but allowing your mind to adjust. When you stop resisting, when you learn to flow with the process rather than fight it, you unlock new levels of awareness, effortlessly. Let's take this further and explore how these patterns connect to the strange and mind-bending world of quantum reality. The quantum world doesn't play by the rules we're used to. Particles can be in two places at once. Objects can influence each other instantly across vast distances, and the simple act of observing something changes what it is. These aren't just abstract theories. They define how the universe operates at its smallest, most fundamental level. Imagine flipping a coin. In our everyday world, once it lands, it's either heads or tails, one or the other, never both. But in the quantum world, a particle can exist in both states at the same time until someone measures it. Scientists call this superposition, a phenomenon where something remains in multiple possibilities until reality forces it to pick one. It sounds bizarre, but quantum mechanics isn't just a set of weird ideas. It's the foundation of modern technology. The tiny processors in your phone, the GPS satellites that guide you, and even the way plants absorb sunlight all rely on quantum effects to function. Entanglement, a relationship between particles that defies ordinary explanation, is one of the most astounding features of quantum mechanics. Regardless of how far apart two particles are, anything that happens to one instantly impacts the other when they get entangled. Even if its duplicate is on the opposite side of the universe, it reacts quickly when you change something here. Because it appeared to violate the fundamental law that nothing goes faster than light, Einstein, who was never one to accept strangeness without a struggle, dubbed this spooky action at a distance. Nevertheless, trial after experiment demonstrates that it is true. However, quantum mechanics is not limited to the microscopic realm. The distinction between quantum and common reality is becoming increasingly hazy as a result of scientists' recent placement of entire objects, including mirrors, metal structures, and even living bacteria, into quantum states. The line separating the two worlds gets less distinct the further we go. Then comes the crucial query: what does this indicate about reality in general? Does reality only take shape when we gaze at it if a particle exists in several locations simultaneously until we perceive it? Is the environment we live in static and unchanging, or is it more malleable and influenced by awareness and observation? According to some researchers, quantum mechanics might even influence how our own brains work. There is conjecture that consciousness, our capacity for thought, emotion, and awareness, may be influenced by quantum processes occurring within brain cells. Although this theory is still up for debate, it raises the possibility that quantum physics may have a profound impact on our identity and is not merely a theory for far-off galaxies and laboratory experiments. We are forced to reconsider all of our presumptions about the nature of reality by quantum mechanics. It pushes us to broaden our perspective, consider what might be, and accept the notion that the universe is far more bizarre and remarkable than we could have ever dreamed. The quantum mechanical equations work flawlessly, despite the fact that their meaning is still debatable. Some scientists contend that each situation may take place in an endless number of parallel worlds, where each decision would result in a distinct reality. Others argue that reality isn't set at all, and that consciousness itself is what shapes the world we see. The odd feature? These theories portray the universe in quite different ways, even if they share the same mathematical foundations. Even though these ideas are abstract, quantum technology is already changing the world. Quantum computers can tackle problems that would take conventional computers millions of years to solve. Even the most proficient hackers cannot interpret the secure communication made possible by quantum cryptography. Quantum sensors can detect even the slightest changes in gravity, magnetic fields, and even time itself. The fact that reality isn't as distinct or solid as it appears becomes increasingly apparent as we gain more knowledge. In quantum physics, even empty space is anything but empty. It's a roiling sea of virtual particles, flashing into existence and vanishing just as quickly. Everything is in constant interaction, no matter how far apart things seem. Even the act of observing something changes what's being observed. This isn't just a metaphor, it's a fundamental truth revealed through experiment after experiment. Our reality isn't simply there waiting to be seen. In many ways, it responds to being seen. Quantum mechanics also forces us to rethink time itself. We assume causes always come before effects, but at the quantum level, that rule begins to blur. Some experiments suggest that a particle's future state can influence its past, as if reality isn't strictly moving forward, but shifting and adjusting in ways we don't yet fully understand. These aren't just wild theories. Every time we test quantum mechanics, it works. The world we consider normal is simply a scaled-up version of a much weirder, more flexible reality. And this isn't just about physics anymore. Quantum effects are becoming part of engineering, computing, and even biology. Scientists are discovering that nature itself, photosynthesis, bird navigation, even human brain function, may rely on quantum-level interactions. The deeper we go, the more we realize that quantum mechanics isn't just about tiny particles, it's about the very fabric of existence itself. This leads to one of the most mind-bending ideas of all, the observer effect. On the smallest scale, simply looking at something changes it. Think of a child playing freely when alone, but shifting their behavior the moment they realize they're being watched. The quantum world follows a similar pattern. When a particle is measured, its state is altered. It's like trying to see if a room is dark, but the only way to check is by turning on a light, which destroys the darkness you are trying to observe. This principle extends far beyond physics. It applies to energy, consciousness, and perception itself. When you focus your attention on something, you're not just passively watching, you're influencing it. Your observation creates a connection, shaping the very thing you're observing. But rather than being a limitation, this is one of the most powerful tools we have. The act of looking changes what is seen, so the question becomes, what will you choose to see? Once you understand that your attention shapes energy, you can begin to refine how you interact with it. The moment you focus on the sensation of energy in your hands, something shifts, not because you're imagining it, but because your awareness activates it. What you expect influences what you experience, not by creating something from nothing, but by tuning into what was already there, waiting to be noticed. This raises a fascinating question. If observation changes what we perceive, how do we know what's real? The answer might be simpler than you think. Everything you observe is real, but your observation transforms it. It's not a static thing, but an interaction, like a dance where both partners continuously shape each other's movements. Consider watching a sunset. The colors, the glow, the way it makes you feel. Those sensations don't exist in isolation. They are shaped by both the sunset itself and how you experience it. Your mood, your thoughts, your focus, all of these color the moment, making it uniquely yours. The same applies to working with energy. If you seek stillness, your awareness creates the conditions for stillness. If you focus on strength, your attention draws out that strength. This isn't about wishful thinking or make-believe. It's about understanding that your perception isn't separate from what you perceive. Just like light bends when passing through a lens, reality bends in response to your attention. But observation isn't passive. It's a responsibility. What we focus on grows, intensifies, and becomes more real. This means our intentions matter. It's not that we fabricate experiences, but rather that we participate in them. When working with energy, we are not simply observing. It's more like being both the photographer and part of the photograph. Try this. The next time you tune into energy, pay attention to how your expectations shape what you feel. Are you sensing warmth, tingling, or a shift in movement? These sensations aren't random. They emerge in part because you're looking for them. And that's not a flaw, it's a tool. As long as you're aware of this dynamic, you can use it deliberately instead of unconsciously. This also explains why pure objectivity doesn't exist. Every measurement, every observation, and every experience is touched by the person observing it. This can feel unsettling at first. If we influence what we perceive, how can we trust our own experiences? But the real question isn't whether your perception is pure, it's whether it's useful. Think of learning to ride a bike. In the beginning, you might obsess over whether you're doing it right, but once you get moving, what matters is staying balanced and reaching your destination. The same applies here. If your practice helps you grow, heal, and expand your awareness, then it's working. Precision in technique matters less than the transformation it creates. The key takeaway? You are not a passive observer in life. You are an active participant in shaping everything you perceive. Instead of resisting this truth, embrace it. Your attention is not just a witness to reality, it is a force within it. Like any tool, it becomes more powerful when you learn how to use it with intention. And this understanding leads us to a deeper realization. The idea that the observer is separate from the observed is an illusion. Once we break through this illusion, new possibilities emerge. Ways of working with energy that go beyond what we thought was possible. What happens when you stop simply watching and start consciously shaping? That's where we go next. The way we've been taught to think about energy has been wrong from the start. Most of us imagine it as something that moves from one place to another. Electricity traveling through wires, heat rising from a flame, or sound waves moving through the air. But these are just convenient stories we tell ourselves to make sense of what's happening. The truth is far more extraordinary. Take a simple act like turning on a light switch. The standard explanation is that electricity travels from a power plant through the grid into your house and finally reaches the bulb. That sounds logical, but it's an illusion. The energy didn't travel in the way we think. Instead, a shift occurred in the electromagnetic field that was already present everywhere. The bulb lights up, not because energy arrived, but because a change in energy states rippled through the system. This changes everything. Instead of thinking about energy as something that moves, imagine it as something that's always there, constantly shifting forms. Matter itself is just energy in a stable, condensed state. The chair you're sitting on, the air you're breathing, even your own body. It's all energy vibrating at different frequencies, appearing solid only because of how we perceive it. Consider heat. We say heat rises, but heat isn't actually moving up. It's energy redistributing itself, seeking balance. When you place your hand near something warm, you aren't feeling heat traveling toward you. Instead, your body's energy state is shifting in response to the energy state of the surrounding molecules. Sound works the same way. It's not something traveling through the air, but a pattern of pressure changes affecting the energy already present. Light isn't a stream of particles moving from the sun. It's a wave propagating through the electromagnetic field that fills all space. Even electricity, which we often picture as electrons racing down a wire, is better understood as a wave of energy interacting with the field around it. And gravity, it's not a force pulling objects together, but a curvature in space-time that guides energy into equilibrium. Think of water flowing downhill. It's not the water that's deciding to move. It's the difference in energy states between high and low points that creates the motion. Chemical reactions? They're just energy rearranging itself, forming and breaking bonds as it seeks a more balanced state. Everything you see, touch, and experience is just energy shifting, stabilizing, and transforming. Instead of imagining energy as something separate that we push around, we can start seeing it as something we align with. It's the difference between struggling to move water in buckets versus simply opening and closing gates to guide the natural flow of a river. This perspective also gives new meaning to the observer effect. We aren't passive bystanders watching energy move. We're inside the system, influencing and interacting with it through every action, every thought, and every measurement. When you shift your awareness, you shift your relationship with the energy field. This isn't just theory. It has real-world applications. Solar panels become more efficient when designed to work with energy state changes instead of simply trying to capture sunlight. Batteries last longer when engineered to maintain stable energy distributions rather than forcefully storing and releasing charge. Even machines function better when we stop fighting against energy's natural behavior and start working with it. The implications are endless. When we stop seeing energy as something external and start recognizing it as the very fabric of existence, we unlock new ways of interacting with the world. Instead of forcing energy to move, we can learn to move with it. Instead of resisting the natural flow, we can guide it. And once we do that, everything from science to technology to personal awareness begins to transform. Breaking free from old ways of thinking about energy takes practice. We've been conditioned to see energy as something that moves from one place to another, like water being poured from a cup. But once you shift your perspective, once you recognize energy as a single interconnected field rather than separate forces interacting, you can't unsee it. The illusion falls apart. The next time you witness energy in motion, don't just look at what your eyes tell you. A fire isn't heat traveling outward, it's a shift in the energy state of everything around it. A lightning bolt isn't electricity moving through the air, it's an imbalance in the field suddenly correcting itself. Nothing is truly moving, everything is simply adjusting. Separate objects don't exchange energy, they are just different aspects of the same system, constantly influencing each other. When you stop trying to move energy and instead create the right conditions for energy shifts to occur naturally, everything changes. It's like learning to sail instead of paddling against the waves. You're not forcing movement, you're working with the flow. For too long, we've been trapped in the illusion of separateness, believing energy transfers between isolated points. But when you realize that it's all part of one vast fluid system, you gain a level of control you never thought possible. Your brain is built to change. Science calls it neuroplasticity, the ability to rewire itself based on experience. Every time you challenge an old belief, every time you step beyond a mental barrier, you reshape your mind. The comfort zone isn't a boundary, it's a starting line. Each step beyond it stretches your world, making the impossible possible. But beware, your mind will try to rebuild the walls. It will whisper, "That was just luck when you succeed," or "This is too hard when you struggle." These doubts aren't reality, they're just the echoes of an outdated system trying to keep you small. Look at children lost in play. They become astronauts, warriors, and inventors without hesitation. They haven't learned to doubt their imagination yet. That same freedom still exists in you, buried beneath layers of conditioning. Your mind filters reality based on what you expect. If you believe something is impossible, your brain won't even register opportunities that contradict that belief. It's like standing in a bright room while wearing sunglasses and wondering why everything seems dim. To break free, start questioning your automatic no responses. Ask yourself, is this actually impossible, or is it just what I've been taught to believe? The walls that hold you back weren't built in a day, and they won't crumble instantly. But with each challenge, each act of curiosity, each time you step beyond fear, you weaken them. Think of someone who defied the odds, someone who accomplished the impossible. They faced the same mental walls, but they didn't accept them as real. The guards at the gates of limitation are your own thoughts, armed with doubt, fear, and habit. But you hold the key. You can rewrite the script. This isn't about blind optimism, it's about seeing clearly, recognizing that many of the limits you've accepted are nothing more than stories, paper-thin assumptions that can be torn apart the moment you stop believing in them. Reality is bigger than you've been led to believe. The world beyond your mental cage is vast, filled with possibilities waiting to be uncovered. All it takes is the courage to look beyond the illusion and step into what's truly possible. The door stands open, the walls ready to crumble. All that remains is for you to step through. Imagine standing in front of a mirror, but not just any mirror, a quantum mirror that doesn't just reflect your image, but reveals the hidden movement of energy all around you. On its surface, you don't just see yourself, you see layers of energy shifting in ways you've never noticed before. One version of the reflection glows with red waves of heat rising from your body, and another pulse with blue sparks of electricity racing through your nerves. Deeper still, the atoms within you shimmer, vibrating like an intricate dance of light. But this mirror doesn't just show you what is, it shows you what could be. Every tiny shift in your movement, every thought, every breath, sends ripples through reality, altering the flow of energy in countless ways. You move your hand slightly, and the mirror reveals endless potential futures, one where the energy swirls gently like mist, another where it explodes outward like a spark. The possibilities are infinite, but here's where things get truly strange. What you see is altered by the act of looking. When researchers looked at the tiniest particles in the universe, they found this. You can usually predict where a ball will land when you toss it. However, it is not how things operate in the quantum realm. A particle can exist in more than one location at once, and it only chooses one location when we perceive it. Even by observing, we can influence the course of events. This implies that we are players in the dance of energy, rather than merely observers. We change something's status each time we give it attention. It's like attempting to grasp fog with your hands. As soon as you do, it changes into something else. Since we treat energy as a separate force, but in fact we are woven into it, this may help to explain why some attempts to control it feel frustrating. Some have started to accept this insight. They learn to work with energy, allowing it to flow along its natural channels, much like water running downhill, rather than attempting to force it into inflexible forms. They know that sometimes the best way to focus energy is to take a step back and let it align itself. Energy needs to be directed rather than forced. The quantum mirror also offers a glimpse of something even more mind-bending: time. In its reflections, time doesn't move forward in a straight line. Instead, it spreads in all directions at once, connecting past, present, and future in ways we barely understand. The reality, then, is less like a timeline and more like a vast, shifting web of possibility. By learning to read these patterns, we can identify the smallest points of change that create the biggest effects, like striking a crystal glass in just the right place to make it sing. But perhaps the most surprising revelation from the mirror isn't chaos. It's hidden order. Just when we expect randomness, we find repeating patterns. Just as tree branches mimic the shape of the whole tree, or galaxies spiral in familiar formations, energy follows subtle but powerful underlying rhythms. These are not rigid mechanical laws, but natural harmonies like the instinct that makes birds fly in formation or waves crash in rhythmic pulses upon the shore. Once you begin to see energy this way, the illusion of separation fades. You realize that you are not just standing in front of the mirror, you are inside it, part of the same energy you are trying to understand. And the moment you accept that the door doesn't just open, you walk through. The quantum mirror isn't something you can hold, buy, or build. It's a way of perceiving reality. Every time we try to measure, influence, or shift energy, we're looking into this mirror, and what reflects back isn't just energy itself. It's us, intertwined with everything else, in an endless web of cause and effect. This understanding transforms how we engage with energy. Instead of treating it as something external to manipulate, we begin to see ourselves as part of its flow. A leaf drifting on a river doesn't fight against the current. It moves with it, steering where it can, but always connected to the water's path. The next time you work with energy, imagine standing before this mirror. See the infinite possibilities radiating from each moment. Notice how your focus alters what you observe, how your attention isn't just watching the dance of energy, it's participating in it. This isn't just a concept in quantum physics, it's a principle shaping every aspect of our lives, often without us realizing it. Think about a child lost in play, singing, moving freely, completely absorbed in their own world. Now imagine watching them. The moment they notice your gaze, something changes. Maybe they become self-conscious, adjusting their movements. Maybe they perform, seeking approval. The presence of an observer transforms the observed. This same effect happens within us. The moment we become aware of a thought, an emotion, or a sensation, it shifts. A headache feels sharper when we focus on it. Our breath changes the second we pay attention to it. Our posture corrects itself when we suddenly think about how we're standing. Scientists found this same pattern at the quantum level. When they tried to measure a particle's position, its speed became uncertain. When they measured its speed, its position blurred. The act of observing wasn't passive, it altered reality itself. But this isn't just a phenomenon of physics, it's the secret behind how we experience everything. Take emotions, for example. When we're lost in anger, we are the anger. But the instant we pause and recognize I am feeling angry, something shifts. The emotion doesn't vanish, but our relationship to it changes. We are no longer inside the storm, we are watching it. And that space, that tiny moment of awareness, is powerful. It creates the freedom to respond differently. Consider what happens when worry creeps in. Normally, anxious thoughts spiral endlessly, one feeding into another. But if you catch the pattern early, you can disrupt it. Simply noticing the worry pulls you out of its grip. The same applies to tension. Most of us walk around with tight shoulders, a clenched jaw, or shallow breathing without realizing it. But the second we bring awareness to it, the body softens. The observation itself becomes the solution. But here's the catch. We can't observe everything at once. Just like quantum particles, when we focus on one aspect of our experience, other parts slip into the background. That's okay. We can shift awareness as needed, like adjusting the focus on a camera. So what should we observe? That depends on what we want to shift. If we're breaking a habit, we might watch for the moment it begins. If we're developing a skill, we can track our patterns of practice. If we're improving relationships, we can notice the subtle ways we communicate. The key is to observe without judgment, like a scientist collecting data. This isn't about forcing change. It's about seeing things as they truly are. Because once we see clearly, change happens naturally. Change often begins in the smallest moments. A subtle shift in how you hold yourself, a slightly longer pause before speaking, the loosening of tension you didn't even realize you were holding. Other times, transformation comes like a storm, completely reshaping the way you think, act, or see the world. Whether small or massive, every shift starts with awareness. This brings us full circle. The simple act of watching alters what we see, but now we can use this to our advantage. We can be intentional about where we direct our focus, knowing that our attention isn't just passive, it's a tool for growth. The observer effect isn't just some strange quirk of physics or psychology, it's something we can use every single day. The next time you want to change something in your life, don't force it. Just observe. Watch with curiosity and patience. Let awareness itself begin the shift. In the dance between observer and observed, both are always evolving. But here's something even more powerful. Your mind isn't just a lens through which you see reality. It's a projector, constantly playing films that shape how reality unfolds. The images you hold in your mind determine how you feel, how you act, and ultimately what you experience. Picture yourself walking into a crowded room. In one version of this mental movie, you see yourself as out of place, awkward, and convinced that others are judging you. Your breath quickens, your body stiffens, and anxiety creeps in before anything has even happened. Now, rewind that film and play a different version. This time, you step inside with ease. You move confidently, connect effortlessly, and engage in conversation without hesitation. Just by changing the mental movie, your body responds differently. These internal films don't just appear out of nowhere. They come from past experiences, things people have told you, and beliefs you've picked up along the way. But here's the secret. You don't have to passively watch them. You can become the director. Start noticing when your mind plays a movie that doesn't serve you. Maybe you're about to speak in front of a crowd, and your mental projection shows you stumbling over words, feeling embarrassed. Stop the film. Take a breath. Now, imagine a different version. One where you speak with clarity, where your voice is strong, where people are engaged and responding to your words. This isn't about pretending everything is perfect. It's about recognizing that your mind doesn't know the difference between imagination and reality. Studies show that mental rehearsal activates the brain almost exactly like real experience does. That's why elite athletes mentally practice their movements before stepping onto the field. It's why musicians rehearse in their minds, feeling their fingers move over an instrument before they even touch it. Public speakers visualize themselves delivering powerful talks with ease. Chess masters play entire matches in their heads, predicting moves before they happen. Even surgeons mentally walk through complex procedures before picking up a scalpel. The way you see yourself, the movie you play in your mind, becomes the reality you step into. What story are you telling yourself? What scenes are you replaying? You have the power to edit, to shift, to direct your own experience. And once you do, the world around you can't help but change too. You can use this same principle to shift your energy, guide your decisions, and shape your actions in any situation. Not by wishful thinking, but by training your mind to expect and embody new possibilities. Your brain is constantly responding to the images and stories you feed it. When you visualize an outcome vividly enough, your nervous system begins to act as if it's already happening. But this isn't about pretending or forcing yourself into unrealistic fantasies. The key is to create mental movies that feel believable, ones your mind can accept and build upon step by step. If you're learning a new skill, don't picture yourself suddenly being flawless. Instead, see yourself improving steadily, handling setbacks with confidence, and growing stronger with each challenge. If you have an upcoming event that makes you nervous, take a moment to notice the movie your mind automatically plays. Does it show you stumbling, failing, or feeling overwhelmed? Instead of jumping straight to an impossibly perfect scenario, make a small but powerful adjustment. If you see yourself failing completely, shift the scene to one where you handle things well enough, even if not perfectly. If you imagine judgment from others, reframe it. Picture them being neutral or even supportive. Make these mental movies rich in detail. What do you see? What sounds surround you? How does your body feel? The more senses you engage, the more real the new scenario becomes to your brain. With repetition, these adjustments change your energy. When you consistently rehearse more supportive inner stories, your body responds. You stand differently, breathe differently, move differently. You give off a different energy, one that others pick up on. You've probably experienced the opposite before, those times when worry took over, when your mind created vivid disaster scenarios that drained you before anything even happened. That was mental rehearsal too, just in the wrong direction. Now imagine using that same power, that same creative force, to shape thoughts that work for you instead of against you. This isn't about suppressing doubt or forcing positivity. It's about realizing that you have a choice. Your mind will always generate thoughts and images. It's what it does. But you don't have to accept them at face value. Every time you catch yourself running an old, limiting script, you have an opportunity to redirect it. Over time, this becomes second nature. The old mental movies may still show up, but you'll recognize them faster and rewrite them before they take hold. This skill is more than a mental exercise. It's a bridge between who you are now and who you want to become. Scene by scene, thought by thought, you reshape your inner world, and the outer world begins to reflect the change. But there's something even deeper beneath all of this. Beyond the thoughts, beyond the mental movies, there is something watching it all unfold. That observer, that quiet presence, is you. Thoughts rise and fade, images play and dissolve, yet something remains unchanged, the awareness that notices them. Imagine sitting in a theater. The screen shows every kind of scene, joyful, terrifying, heartbreaking, exhilarating, but you are simply sitting there, watching. The rain doesn't make you wet. The monster can't reach you. The images flicker, but the observer remains still. Once you see this, everything changes. You stop feeling trapped by your thoughts because you recognize you are not your thoughts. You are the one watching them. And from that place of awareness, you hold the power to rewrite the story. Your thoughts create a movie in your mind, but you are not the movie. You are the one watching it. This silent awareness is present in every moment, always here, always observing. It is what knows you are reading these words right now. It is what notices your breath, the sounds around you, the sensations in your body. Unlike thoughts which come and go, this awareness is the constant backdrop to all experiences. Most of our suffering comes from mistaking ourselves for our thoughts. We believe we are our worries, our memories, and our plans, but these are just passing clouds in the vast sky of awareness. The sky itself, the presence that observes it all, remains untouched, unshaken, unmoved. This isn't just a theory, it's something immediate, something you can recognize right now. What is it that knows you are reading this? What is it that notices your own thoughts as they appear? If you say, "I am aware," Look deeper. Can you actually find the I that is aware? Or is there simply awareness itself, knowing everything that arises? This is what it means to see through the illusion of separation. The world doesn't disappear, nor do thoughts or emotions, but they are no longer seen as rigid, separate things. They are expressions of awareness itself, rippling through consciousness like waves on the ocean. Try this for yourself. Notice a thought. Where does it appear? Not in space, you can't point to it. It arises within awareness. Notice a sound. Where is it known? In awareness. A sensation in the body. Where is it felt? In awareness. Everything you experience happens within this field of knowing. This may seem abstract, but it is actually the most direct and immediate experience you can have. Right now, there is nothing special you need to do. No altered state, no meditation technique. Just look. What is here always beneath every experience? When this is clearly seen, something profound shifts. Thoughts lose their grip. We stop feeling like a small, separate self struggling to control life. Instead, there is simply life happening, spontaneous, fluid, effortless. The mind may object, saying, "But what about my problems? What about my responsibilities? Isn't this just avoiding reality?" But look again. Is noticing awareness an escape, or is it seeing reality more clearly than ever before? As we deepen into this recognition, life becomes lighter, more open, and more natural. Challenges still arise, but they are no longer heavy burdens, just temporary movements within awareness. There is more space, more ease, and a quiet knowing that we were never the thoughts, the worries, or the stories we told ourselves. We were always the presence beneath them, watching, timeless, free. Right now, take a moment to notice what is aware of these words. What are your thoughts about them? What remains when all thoughts briefly pause? That awareness is you. Everything else, your emotions, perceptions, memories, appears and disappears within it, like waves on the surface of an endless ocean. Our minds construct a reality that feels completely real, yet it's only a filtered version of what actually exists. It's like watching a movie. When we're absorbed in the story, the emotions feel genuine even though we know deep down that it's just flickering light on a screen. This same effect happens in everyday life. Our brains don't directly perceive reality. They assemble it, piecing together information from our senses and shaping it through past experiences, beliefs, and expectations. Consider this. When you look at a tree, you don't actually see the tree itself. Your brain takes in patterns of light, processes them based on your concept of tree, and creates an image that fits what you've learned. But the actual tree, the raw, unfiltered reality of it, might be nothing like what you perceive. Emotions work the same way. We don't experience reality as it is. We experience our interpretation of it. If someone doesn't wave back at us, we might feel hurt, assuming rejection, when in truth, they may not have even noticed us. Our emotions are not direct responses to events, but reactions shaped by memories, fears, and assumptions. This filtering is useful. It helps us navigate the world without overthinking every little detail. But it also traps us in loops of limitation, where we avoid new experiences based on fears that no longer reflect our present reality. And the illusion doesn't stop there. Even our sense of self is a story. We repeat narratives to ourselves. I'm not good at public speaking. I always attract bad luck. I'll never change. These thoughts don't describe who we are. They describe who we've believed ourselves to be for so long that the mind keeps reinforcing them. Social media adds another layer to this illusion. We scroll through curated versions of people's lives, comparing them to our raw, unfiltered experiences. The gap between perceived reality and actual reality grows, making us believe we're missing something when in truth, we're comparing someone else's highlight reel to our behind-the-scenes footage. Even money, something that seems as solid as it gets, is just a collective illusion. A piece of paper, a digital number in a bank account, none of it has real value beyond what we've all agreed upon. The entire global economy runs on a shared belief system. And time itself? We experience it as a steady flow from past to future, but physics suggests time doesn't move the way we think it does. Our sense of time passing is yet another construct, one that changes based on emotion, focus, and perception. But breaking free from these illusions doesn't mean rejecting them. These constructs serve a purpose. They help us function in society. The key is to recognize them for what they are. Just as waking from a dream makes you realize the dream wasn't real, becoming aware of how our minds shape reality is like waking up inside life itself. This insight is freeing. Many of the restrictions we hold to are self-imposed and the result of mental processes. Furthermore, the mind is capable of reconstructing beliefs if it can create them, but responsibility also comes with this awareness. We can no longer simply attribute our experiences to outside factors. Once we realize how much of them are influenced by our perception, we take an active role in creating our world. This insight is freeing. Many of the restrictions we hold to are self-imposed and the result of mental processes. Furthermore, the mind is capable of reconstructing beliefs if it can create them. But responsibility also comes with this awareness. We can no longer simply attribute our experiences to outside factors. Once we realize how much of them are influenced by our perception, we take an active role in creating our world. The most potent component is this: an illusion loses its hold on you the instant you recognize it. When we acknowledge that our fears and anxieties are mental creations rather than unchangeable realities, they lose their impact, much like a movie loses its emotional impact once you realize it's only a movie. What occurs then if you cease to believe all that your mind tells you? At that point, life begins to unfold in unexpected ways. Our experiences feel completely real at the moment, and they are. But when we understand that our reality is constructed by the mind, we gain something invaluable: the power to reshape it. Consider how different cultures interpret the world in radically different ways. What is obvious to one person might be invisible to another. The same event can be seen as a tragedy, a lesson, or an opportunity depending on the lens through which it's viewed. This shows just how much of what we believe is not objective truth, but conditioning. Living in this illusion is like being both the actor and the audience in a play. We can lose ourselves in the performance, caught up in the drama, believing every twist and turn is absolute reality. Or we can take a step back and remember it's all a script, one we have the power to rewrite. Neither perspective is wrong. The key is balance, engaging with the illusion while staying aware of its constructed nature. That awareness creates space for change, choice, and transformation. And for some, the moment of awakening comes like a thunderclap, sudden, electrifying, impossible to ignore. For others, it unfolds slowly, like morning light breaking through the mist, gently revealing what was always there. But once you see through the illusion, you can't unsee it. Think back to the moments when something didn't feel quite right, when you sensed a gap between what you were told and what you instinctively knew. Those weren't random thoughts. That was your inner compass trying to guide you toward truth. From childhood, we are trained to accept rather than question. Schools teach memorization, not critical thinking. Media presents prepackaged narratives instead of raw facts. Society rewards compliance and punishes independence. Yet beneath it all, there's a quiet voice within each of us that whispers, something isn't right. And that voice is right. Look at how we live, waking to alarms, rushing to jobs that drain us, buying things we don't need, numbing ourselves with screens, collapsing into bed exhausted, only to do it all again the next day. We are told this is normal. This is a success. This is life. But is it? The truth is, we are far more powerful than we've been led to believe. Our thoughts shape our reality, our focus determines our experience, and our choices define our path. Yet, we have given away this power, slowly, silently, without even realizing it. The good news? That power never truly leaves us. It waits, dormant but intact, ready to be reclaimed. Reclaiming it begins with a simple but radical act, questioning everything, not with paranoia, but with curiosity. Why do I believe what I believe? Who benefits from me believing this? What would happen if I chose to believe something else? These questions crack the illusion, allowing light to seep through. And once you start questioning, patterns emerge. How fear is used to control, how artificial scarcity fuels competition, how distraction keeps us from looking too closely at what really matters. The pieces start fitting together, the illusion weakens, and in its place, something far more powerful emerges. Clarity, choice, and the realization that the script of life is yours to rewrite. But here's what they don't want you to realize. Awakening isn't just about seeing the illusion. It's about discovering your own power. When you break free from the mental conditioning that's kept you small, you tap into a well of creativity, strength, and intuition that has been waiting for you all along. You begin to remember who you truly are. But with this awakening comes responsibility. Once you see the truth, you can't unsee it. You become responsible for your own choices, your own growth, and your own path. No more blindly following, no more accepting without question. You step out of the script that was handed to you and start writing your own. Not everyone will celebrate your awakening. Some will resist it, not because you're wrong, but because your growth challenges their comfort. They might call you crazy, urge you to stay in line, or try to pull you back into old patterns. This is normal. Change disrupts the status quo, and most people fear what they don't understand. Stand firm in your truth. Not with anger, not with defensiveness, but with quiet certainty. Truth doesn't need to be defended, it simply is. Your purpose isn't to convince anyone, it's to live so authentically that your very existence inspires others to question, to explore, to wake up. Start small. Question one belief today. Shift one habit tomorrow. Take one step toward authenticity next week. Small, consistent actions create massive change over time. The path isn't about speed, it's about consistency. And though the journey may feel lonely at first, you'll soon find others who see what you see. People who question what you question, souls who seek what you seek. You are not alone. Remember, awakening isn't a final destination, it's a continuous unfolding. Each day brings new insights, deeper awareness, and more opportunities to choose truth over illusion. Some days will feel effortless, others will challenge you to your core, that's okay. Growth isn't linear, it's a spiral always expanding. And here's the most powerful truth of all. We are not small, powerless beings meant to live scripted lives. We are creators. We are architects of reality itself. This knowledge has been hidden from us not because it isn't real, but because it threatens those who profit from our blindness. But now, the illusion is crumbling. More people are waking up every day. The cracks in the system are showing, and through them light is pouring in. Now is the time. Not because someone told you to wake up, but because your soul is whispering that it's time. Trust that quiet knowing. Step into your power. Let the old stories fall away. You are here for a reason. You are part of this shift. And if you've ever seen The Matrix or Inception, you already know the truth. That reality bends to belief. That imagination and intention shape the world around us. But this isn't just a movie plot. This is real. Your focus, your energy, and your awareness are the building blocks of the life you create. If you're ready to step deeper into this journey, explore the next level of energy mastery and self-realization. The path is open, you just have to walk it.